Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zara and today I'm going to be talking about underwhelming books that I read in 2022. No particular order, these aren't ranked, they're just books that I thought I would just mention were not that great for me and that I didn't really enjoy that much for one reason or another. So let's kick off. The first book on this list is not going to be a surprise to anybody because I did a rant review about it. It was one of the only one of two rant reviews I've ever done on my channel, and that is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas. I hated this book. The more I think about it, the more angry I get about it because I spent like 2 weeks reading this book. It's 800 pages, absolute nonsense. It was just nonsense. It was garbage. I don't like to call books garbage in general because I feel like there's something that you can get from every single book. This one, I got 0. It didn't add anything to my life and it was a waste of time. It's proof that you don't always have to be a good writer to be successful. I think this is a case of this writer having had previous success, and I've been very honest before and said that I've enjoyed some of her other books, but this one was lazy. It could have been about half the size that it was. I feel like her editors just don't really edit and do their job, so I don't know what they're doing. I was quite angry, to be honest, because I expect better from an author who's sold millions of books around the world. Like, it's just crazy to me that this is deemed as okay. It's just insane, and I'm very angry about it. As you can probably tell, like, I'm angry about it because it's just, there's so many other better books out there than this specific book. I don't want to say that SJM's books are all bad because that's just not true. I've enjoyed some of her other books and the writing has generally been quite solid, but this one was just shocking and I cannot believe it got published. It's left a really bad taste in my mouth. I'm debating whether I will read the next book in this series. I probably will, just because I've committed so much to her writing now that it would feel like a waste of time if I don't, which I know is silly, but hey ho. But it was just, it was bad. It was really bad. Next we have Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. I really enjoyed the first book, which was Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I really loved that book. It was one of the few romance books that I've actually really enjoyed. I read it really quickly. This one, it didn't need to exist. I don't get it. I don't get why romance writers do this a lot. Like, when they write a book and then they write other books following the sisters or the brothers. Like, I don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't think it was written that well either. Like, I felt like the writing took a step down and that this plot was just it just felt quite forced and I just didn't get anything from it. It was a real disappointment, to be honest. The next one was another romance. A lot of these are going to be romances, and that was Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I really enjoyed the first one that she wrote. I can't remember what it was called. This one, no, it's terrible. It's terrible. The main character was probably one of the most annoying characters I've ever read. Just full stop. Her personality was fainting and food, eating shit food. That was her personality. You know, like those girls who like make it their personality to be like quirky? That's what it felt like. But it wasn't quirky in the sense that like literally all her personality was just like fainting and eating terrible food. Like, I just don't get it. I actually quite like the love interest. Like, he was quite interesting. I just wished we'd had a book about him and it wasn't a romance. Like, I would have found that way more interesting. I actually sent the book back because I ended up getting a free Kindle version of it. There was like an offer or something. I had pre-ordered the book, but the Kindle version had come first or something. And then I ended up sending the book back, thankfully, because I definitely did not want to have 2 editions of it, never mind one that I'd paid for. So that was that. Then we have The Moroccan Daughter by Deborah Rodriguez. So this is a book that was following a woman as she goes back to Morocco to like visit her family for like an event or something. And I just thought it would be fun to see the portrayal of Morocco because Morocco is a really beautiful country. I've never been, but my brother went a few years back. And I've seen like a lot of videos of Morocco and I've got a sense of like what it would feel like. And I have Moroccan friends. There wasn't like any plot. Like, she just kind of went there and it kind of felt a bit like plotless. Like, there was no direction. We follow a few characters and like none of the characters really felt that fleshed out. And it felt like things were happening just for the sake of it, just to create drama, but not to actually further the plot. So I don't get like what the point of it was. And so that's why it's on this list. I was like expecting like some really beautiful world building. Didn't get any of that. It was really disappointing, to be honest. Next was, 2 of these are quite popular ones. So one was Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Again, didn't really like this book. It's a romance. I just didn't enjoy it. I just thought it was really boring, and it didn't need to be as long as it was. I think it could have been about half the size. Didn't really connect with any of the characters. You're following the main character, who is a American, and his love interest is British. And I just feel like the American perception of British people is just so bizarre. It's so bizarre. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know if Americans actually feel that way about Brits, and if that's the way that you guys really perceive us. I mean, I think some of the things were somewhat true, because whenever I go to America, I always get asked the same questions, and somebody always tries to imitate my accent, and I'm like, what are you doing with your life? And like, I always get compliments on my accent. Thank you very much. But like, it's just, I don't know, it just felt super cheesy. It's a romance, I guess, what do you expect? But like, I was expecting more. Because I read one of other Casey McQuiston's books, I can't remember which one, and I didn't hate it. Like, I thought it was fun for what it was, but this one just, it didn't add anything. All right, next was Rasho Man and Other Stories by Akatsugawa. This is a collection of short stories. Now, it's interesting, Rasho Man, the story itself was really interesting. All the other stories were really boring. I just didn't really connect with them on any deep kind of philosophical level, which is kind of what I was expecting. I feel like this is a book that I went into with quite high expectations, and that's entirely my fault, not the author's fault. I will read more by this author. I think Akatsugawa has written a few books because I like the way that they write. I was just pretty underwhelmed by this collection of short stories. All right, we've got two left. So we've got Royal Command by Stacey Marie Brown. This book, this is a duology. The first one is called Royal Watch, which I actually really enjoyed. Another really solid romance. I read a few solid romances last year, and that was one of them. It was good, pacing was good, characters were interesting. There's this kind of broader plot that's happening outside of the characters that I really liked. There's just things about it that kind of hit the notes, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Royal Command, however, was just the biggest waste of time ever. Like, it was just so boring, so unnecessary. It did not need to exist. It was just, there was this kind of forced plot at the start of the book that didn't really make sense, didn't have a place, and it made the characters do things that did not feel authentic to the characters in book one. And it was terrible. It was terrible. I recommend the first one, don't read the second one. And then last but not least, we have The Atlasics by Oliver Blake. This book got a lot of hype. I'm glad I read it because I was curious about it. A lot of people say it's grimdark, which I find hilarious because it's not grimdark. If there's any little bit of darkness now, people are like, oh my gosh, it's grimdark. Like, somebody said to me recently, the Poppy War's grimdark, and I was like, no, it's not. Somebody said to me, Jade War is grimdark, Jade City is grimdark, and I was like, no, it's not. I haven't even read it, and I know it's not. Like, just because it has dark themes doesn't mean it's grimdark, folks. The problem is that there is no unified definition of grimdark, but I really hope people kind of at least like think for themselves and not just like plaster the grimdark title on everything that has a little bit of darkness in it, because it's incredibly annoying, to be honest. But The Atlasics is not grimdark. It read quite YA to me, to be honest. I just didn't really like any of the characters. I read a lot of dark fantasy where all the characters are awful people, and yet I still like them. I don't like them as people, but I like them as characters. I can buy into why they are the way that they are. Didn't really get that with any of these characters. I didn't connect with any of these characters. I found them all to be really annoying and quite flat with very little depth. I'm kind of curious about the second book, so I might pick it up at some point, like if I can get it like reduced or secondhand. But I'm not in any rush to read it because it was just super underwhelming, and I expected more given how much hype it got, and I was just disappointed. So what books did you read last year that were disappointing, and what should I stay away from? Because guys, we've got a finite amount of time, and 2023 is going to be a busy year, so I need to like be very careful like what I read, very strategic about what I read. So what books were disappointing to you? Let me know in the comments, and especially if any of these books you found disappointing, or if you like them as well. I'm always up for a healthy debate. See you in the comments, folks. Stay safe, take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.